I spent almost a decade looking for answers to these deep questions that I had. Like, why did things happen the way they did? Who am I supposed to be? What are we meant to do here? That journey took me all over the place. But in one place I was never willing to go when anyone suggested it was the Bible or Jesus. And for a period of time, I fell in love with this idea that our subconscious mind within us controls all the outcomes of our world, that we see the world and we create it because of what's inside of us. And that's our power, that we have that power. And I loved this idea of the law of attraction and subscribed to it and used that to explain these events that happened in my life, whether that event was a bad thing, whether that event was a good thing, whether it was a recovery from an injury that doctors couldn't explain. I used that to explain these things. They were deep, probing desires just to know what the truth was. And of course, I wanted to figure these things out because I wanted a certain life. Gosh, it's beautiful out here, isn't it? I wanted to be somebody who was successful, not just on the outside, but inwardly, and was fulfilling my destiny and who I was supposed to be. What I found over time was that I began to just get afraid because I couldn't control my mind all the time. I had a pretty negative outlook sometimes. I certainly wouldn't call myself an optimist, and self-confidence is not something that comes naturally. And so I would live in fear that I'm attracting all these bad things into my life, or the good isn't coming to you because you're not really that. You're not thinking positive enough thoughts. The world around you will reveal who you truly are. And most of the time I would punish myself for that rather than celebrate it. It became this cycle of seeking more answers and trying to do more of the same thing. And there wasn't hope in that. I didn't have hope. I had hope in myself because that's where the power was, right? I attracted everything into my life because of who I was. And so if I wanted something different, I had to put my hope in myself to attract that reality that I wanted to me. I think back now and I realize just how lonely that was. But I stubbornly held on to that worldview. I thought that I was spiritually enlightened because I had discovered this information. And if anyone brought up the Bible or Jesus, walls down. And I resisted that for almost a decade from people that I cared about, from friends, family, wise people that I've came across. Yeah, I rejected all of that. But I found myself at one point in this hopeless state that how in the heck am I going to do this? Because I don't have positive thoughts all the time. And I don't have confidence in myself all the time. And so what the heck am I going to attract to me? Because over time I had achieved a lot of my goals. I had the job that I thought I always wanted. I had an income that I wanted. All the stuff on my vision board, I had it. So I didn't look at other people and think, oh, I wish I had that job, or I wish I had that car, I wish I had that house or that partner. But when I saw people with hope, with faith in something other than themselves, that's what I wanted. And I found myself on the way home from work one day at a stoplight. And literally, I just said, I want faith. I wish that I had faith. Now, I wasn't picturing Jesus. I believed in God at that time. But the God that I believed in was this impersonal, universal force governed by this law of our subconscious mind that gives us what we are, and we have the power to harness that. But it's our power. It didn't care about me. It didn't want bad for me or good for me. It didn't care. It didn't know me. And so I wanted faith. I wanted to feel like I wasn't alone. And so when I called out for faith, I wasn't calling out to Jesus or calling out in repentance. In my heart, I just didn't want to be alone. So the next day, there was a meeting at work with all of the leadership team. At that time, I was in upper middle management, so I didn't get to see the CEO a ton. But he was at this meeting, and after the meeting, my CEO comes up to me, and he's like, Michael, I'm not really sure what is going on with you, but you've just been on my mind, and I thought this could help you. And he handed me a book, and that book was The Good Life by Charles Colson. But the next few things he said really triggered my attention. He said, this is a Christian book, but whether you believe or not, this can be helpful. So don't let it turn you off, because this can be helpful for you even if you are not of faith. Not of faith. The day before, I called out to the ether, to nobody in my car on the way home, just saying, I want faith. And my CEO, who I barely know, is coming up to me and bringing me a Christian book and tells me it'll help me even if I don't have faith. Maybe this is the faith I've been asking for. And for a split second there, I thought in my mind, oh my gosh, you attracted this into your life. Law of attraction, it's real. But what really happened was I was metaphorically on my knees in that moment when I called out for faith. I didn't really even know what I was asking for, but my heart knew. And I didn't have to seek something anymore, because the Lord of my life, Jesus Christ, came running after me right then. So for 10 years, I'm chasing after answers to questions, looking at law of attraction, any other philosophy of thought. I loved Buddhism, Hinduism, I loved Taoism, I loved Stoicism, psychology, the power of our minds. I loved that. And it was hopeless. But the minute I called out without even knowing what I was asking for, the creator of everything that I had ever seen, touched, tasted, smelled, or felt came running after me. And so now it's like you have relationship with the creator of everything you know, with you. Well, that's a cool spider web. I don't want to go near that. So why am I doing this? Well, because I was outright resistant to anything Christian. I thought that Christians were closed-minded, simple, didn't know what they were talking about. I didn't believe in a God that could send people to hell. And I still don't believe in a God that sends people to hell, because that's not true. I claimed to know why I didn't want anything to do with Jesus, because I thought I knew everything about Jesus, but I knew nothing about him. I knew nothing about the Bible. And now every book I've read since then has been something to learn more about God, learn more about Jesus. And the story is just incredible. The things that excite me now are just like, I'm like, how in the world did this happen? Well, after my boss said, this will help you even if you're not of faith, I thought, message received. This is where I'm going. I was baptized less than a month later. I joined a church. I loved it. I got involved. I became passionate about the word. I looked at everything through new eyes, including myself, including the things that I wanted or thought that I wanted, or the circumstances in my life. They weren't just because of me. I wasn't alone. It humbled me. But this is the interesting part that when I think through this is that all happened. But if you would have sat me down a day earlier before I called out for faith and said, all right, do you want to abandon your beliefs in the power of your subconscious mind and this impersonal force in the universe and relinquish your power to this guy you've heard growing up called Jesus? And it's going to change the way you look at the world. But you're going to have hope. You're going to have that faith that you want. And you're going to get a relationship with the creator of you and everything around you. But it's going to require surrender, not control of your destiny in your life. I would have said, I don't want it. And man, would I be missing out. Because when you ask for this and you let it in and you let it change you, it changes you. It changes your eyes. It changes your heart. In some ways, we don't want what's good for us, and we resist it. That's what I did. I resisted it. And I hope you don't, because I know a lot of people who do. And honestly, they look at me now like I'm a wackadoo, and that's okay. I don't look at them like they're wackadoos. I look at them like, yeah, I get it. I get it. It's hard to believe. In some ways, you don't want to believe, but you're not alone. You are a powerful being, but you're not alone in that power. And I just want to encourage you just to try it. Just say, all right, universe, God, infinite intelligence, whatever you think, show me who you really are. Come into my heart and just surrender to it and see what happens. I don't know what will happen for you. I can just tell you what happened for me. But if you would have told me, gosh, weeks prior to that, let alone years prior to that, that I would one day stand in a pool of water and be laid back to be washed clean and baptized by the blood of Jesus Christ and be so filled with joy that I was overwhelmed beyond anything that's ever happened to me, I would have said, you're a cuckoo. But that's exactly what happened. But I had to get out of my own way. I had to humble myself. I had to be on my knees feeling alone and empty when all the things that this world could give me basically were mine. I had achieved everything that I wanted to achieve. I had most everything I wanted to have. And the only solution to my emptiness was more of the same thing. More of the same thing. More money, more promotion, more power, more house, more car. Maybe you're further along than I am. And you're like, well, I don't need that. Sounds like you were pretty materialistic, Michael. I don't deal with that. Yeah, good for you. But it all stems from pride that I want to be in control. I want to control where I'm going to go, what I'm going to do, who I'm going to be, what I'm going to have, all that stuff. And the idea of being an obedient servant doesn't sound fun. So no thanks. So I hope that you achieve everything that you're looking to achieve, that you acquire or manifest everything that you wanted to manifest. But I also hope that you have the discernment to realize that when you get there, and after a short period, all of that around you that was just a dream doesn't feel in your heart the way you thought it would. And you have the discernment to say, maybe I should look somewhere else. I hope that you feel this hopelessness that I felt, this hopelessness in me having to control everything around me. And this idea that just more of the same thing is going to somehow make me feel good. It doesn't. It doesn't. We are so much deeper than that. We are in the world, not of the world. Whether you believe that or not, that's why nothing in the world truly satisfies people. And they keep digging, they keep pulling, they keep trying to pull something magic out of that hat. But that hat can't give you what you want. And that just means that the world can't give you what you really are seeking.